Recording.
Oh, there we go.
Started.
There you go. Yeah, Marc Antoine, you want to share the doc?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't fully ready and I'm working on it.
It's cool. No rush.
I jumped the gun and installed Big Sur, and after I was on Mojave.
Oh, no.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm still adjusting. Nothing. Share screen.
The spreadsheet is pinned to Hangouts.
No, yeah, it's not that. It's I have to tell my system that yes, I authorize Zoom to record my screen. It's right now everything needs to be reset with the new system.
Oh, you're gonna have to like restart or something.
No, it's not that bad. I just have, yeah, I do have to restart.
Restart Zoom maybe. But yeah, for the rest of you, if you want to get a head start looking at the spreadsheet, my computer's always really slow when Zoom's running. We have one marked as in progress. And we didn't finish it, I guess. Right, this is the one we wanted to do to maybe start making changes to the diagram.
Okay. Now I can share screen. This one, share, and we want this, and we want this. Okay.
Yeah, so the one we had picked to work on is essentially where we start doing arguments for or against arguments. I don't want to put those words in anyone's mouth at this point. A claim is created to oppose the support of one claim for another claim. So in other words, somebody or a claim was created supporting another claim, and now a claim is created to say that support of the other claim doesn't make sense. Do we have the
Sorry, I'm
looking at the diagram?
Yeah, I'm looking for the diagram right now, not this one.
Yes, the last time the discussion was about we have an instance for the edge, right?
Yeah.
Like this
Right.
support.
So we have this version, or actually let me do it this way.
Now I remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we had two models, two opposing models, right?
Yes.
One is claim as argument, essentially. And a support is a subclass of claim, which implies a lot of features that would need to be inherited.
Yep, exactly. Because if you go to the, for example, even though the use case we're looking at right now is a claim is created to oppose the support of one claim for another claim, if we inherit from claim, for example, it would also imply that a claim can be created to support the support of one claim for another claim, among other things we need to talk about.
Sure. It also means that support, we could change it to something else since it's opposing as opposed to supporting. Either we need a support and an oppose class, or we collapse the two into something else that we might call an argument, and it has supports and
yeah. I was opposed to this one, the second, the TIM2, because the problem is, I think there's a separate use case, and of course I'm jumping forward as usual, saying that this support itself can be supported. It's a use case, for example, when you have the difference between the grounding and the warrant in Toulmin's model, but basically saying, how can I support the support of the support? It happens. It's rare, but it happens. And I'm saying making it into a specific subcase, supporting the support, makes it difficult to go one meta level higher. Whereas making it a subclass makes it realistic to have one meta-level higher.
But it also implies infinite recursion,
Yep, absolutely.
which
I
might
think
not
is-
practically be needed, but
in some cases, it will be. Like even if
I-
like 2 levels are needed, then it's already
I
cool
actually-
to have the other model.
I actually don't have real world use cases for 2 levels. When I encountered them very often, I didn't see a real problem with pulling them down 1 level, like and just having it as parallel supporting on relative side by side. I'm not saying semantically, I fully agree with Mike Antoine. It is possible to say that. So I think it's a UX concern whether or not you want to allow it.
Okay,
Semantically, it's allowed, I would say.
the UX concern about nesting levels is noted and real, but I do think that pulling them alongside can lead to confusion. I will make that point because
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, got it.
because if it's really about the epistemological ground for saying that this is a valid support for that, it makes no sense outside of the context of the supporting claim.
No, but it's more than that, right? It would be this is a valid support that supports that or something along those. No, that's 1 level deep. It's 3, so it's yet another one. It's like this is a valid support that supports that supports that. I mean,
Yeah.
it just becomes unreasonable to grasp in your head what that even means. Even though that, yes, semantically, I agree that's a valid thing to do.
As I said, the example for me is Toolman's warrant. Like you're saying, this is support of that, and here's
But that's 1 level deep.
yeah, and then there's the ground. It's because of this inference rule we use, and then there's the warrant for using this inference rule, which is this, well, in this field of knowledge, we have found that to be true in general, right? There's using the rule and justifying the rule. Like there's a special case, the special case is grounded in the rule, and the rule is warranted by the field.
Yeah, I think that also partially shows like some overlap again between.
Okay,
because there's different ways of modeling that. I mean, yes, that could be one way of modeling it, but there might be different ways of modeling that if that's a use case.
I'm going to impose process here now. We're discussing future use cases, and yes, we are. We don't have a.
I'll actually argue we're not.
Okay.
Sorry. There is nothing here saying that the claim can't be an nth level claim unless we've decided that the claim doesn't inherit. But that's what we're discusking.
We're discussing consistency.
We're discussing the definition of this, and as long as the definition is not settled, it could be an nth order meta claim.
What is an nth order?
I mean, a support of a support of a support.
I think for this use case,
that this is handled here in this use case that it's supporting another claim, right? So the question here, I guess, is the thing, the support, is it a claim, right?
What do we call a claim? Like right now, we have nothing else other than claim. Now we say we need to include claim support. Now the question is, are claim support claims? And that's exactly the question at hand. And if it is, then we're in scope. If it isn't, then yes, there's a whole slew of new things.
But
I think what are the implications if you make the thing a claim?
If we make claim support a claim, yes.
Does that invalidate any of the accepted use cases we have so far?
So no, we're just more talking about consistency and potential.
Right, we're going in circles though, and I would rather tackle that, as a specific use case that you want to.
That's a valid question.
But that means that for now we allow it. So that means for now we do allow infinite recursion.
If we accept this design, then we're allowing it until somebody challenges it with a use case that we don't want. Yeah,
correct.
Good point.
So and now the question is there anything in the accepted use cases? Let's review them. It's a good idea to see if there's anything that contradicts the notion that claim support is a claim.
Okay.
Users use a list of claims they have created.
Can you scroll up for the screen so the screen shows the accepted one?
Yeah, the sentence.
So the first one is the sentence, exactly. Do we want support to have its own sentence, or does is it always going to use? Right now, it only is a claim, right? So would you display it just with the claim or the conclusion claim, or does it need its own sentence?
I would allow it to have a sentence. Maybe a generated sentence can be proposed by the system, which is irrelevant. But I think that saying somebody will sometimes express that support, and that's a sentence, and that's something that will make its way into the system.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a case that says the sentence is required. It's kind of implicit here. But we could add use cases that handle those constraints that we haven't defined.
Yeah.
I would say, if everybody agrees that it should be possible.
There's more at stake here. There's more at stake here again, because you need to apply the Liskov substitution principle here. If support is a claim, that means that any restrictions or whatever, how you model claim, also need to apply to support. Meaning, are we saying now that claim doesn't necessarily need to be created with a sentence? Because if a support claim can be created without a sentence necessarily.
Well, we haven't.
Well, the rule doesn't say necessarily. It says you can do it with a sentence. The necessarily is another question. Have we rejected the claim is created in the system without a sentence?
Let's put it this way. Right now, we have modeled that a claim has a sentence. What does it mean to create a support claim without a sentence? What happens if you try to retrieve the sentence?
Well, so here's the thing is we're saying we haven't specified one way or another, to be specific.
Do we agree?
So if you want to discuss
as part of this use case, or is this?
No, I think if you want to discuss that specifically, say you repeat the same claim and you say with a sentence, and then we discuss if that's acceptable, or you say created without any sentence, and then we discuss whether we want to accept that use case into the system. So I think this only says if it's a claim, it must be possible to create it with a sentence. That's the only constraint here that we need to approve.
I guess the use case I'm concerned about is a use case which is not there yet, which I then propose as the next one, or maybe I should write it, but it would be like any claim can be displayed as a sentence.
Type that in. Well, any claim can be displayed as a sentence.
Which, by the way,
there's lots of ways to solve that problem, though, right?
Yeah.
So that would need more specification, because you could call the sentence, "Hi, I am claim X3543," and now you're displaying it with a sentence. But to specifically get at the issues we're discussing, I would say something like a claim is created to support another claim. A claim is, I would copy exactly the one we're doing now. Claim is created to oppose the support of one claim for another claim without a sentence.
By the way,
then we discuss whether that is possible. Right.
But by the way, I think it's important to distinguish I'm claim X25 versus I am the claims that this claim supports that claim, which is maybe convoluted, but meaningful and parsable by a human being, maybe with some effort. I think that's a real distinction. So the meaningful sentence, like can it be displayed with a meaningful sentence as opposed to a system identifier?
Yeah, I would still want that to be defined.
And I agree that needs to be a separate use case. A claim it must be possible to display a claim as a meaningful sentence.
All right, so let's get back to this exercise here. A claim, in this case, let's call a support is created, or an oppose is created in the system with a sentence. Is that something we want to allow? Does that fit the model?
Absolutely. I think that's a real use case. Like sometimes people will say, I think that this claim, this fact, actually supports that other claim, and
you're saying that. Are you saying that it? I mean, I agree, but maybe you're saying that you should be able to create a claim that says A supports B as a claim.
Yes.
Covering.
Yes.
Okay, I agree.
Yes.
I agree. And that can then be incrementally formalized as the use case we're actually working on right now.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. Like a common use case for this for me is in debate map, the multi-premise arguments, where you have a lot of premises, but you really just want to simplify as an argument. You want to read it as, instead of, what's the one I always use? Tim ate the cookie, or Marc Antoine ate the cookie, or Felix ate the cookie, etc. And change, like, read it as one of us ate the cookie, right? So in that's a specific application where I like to have a different text for the argument than for what it's.
And I think it is a different text. I don't think it's the same sentence, because it's already a text in context, I would say.
At the very least, or to generalize this more, very often, because essentially an argument is within the context of its conclusion, very often people make arguments using pronouns.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, this is unrelated.
Okay.
But so what do we do?
The other ones fit. We go and look at the other items. We so far have accepted the design with that.
And we
Next
proposed
one is
and we
at the
proposed
top.
to
No, we're at the top. At the top.
Yeah.
A user asserts that two claims are equivalent in meaning. So can you assert that two supports are equivalent in meaning?
Absolutely.
Two opposes.
I think in most cases, what will happen is that the equivalence of the support claims will be based on the equivalence of the underlying claims. But it's still true that this equivalence can be asserted or negated.
Yep. I would even go further, that it implies, I mean, if you say that a support claim is equivalent to another support claim, it's a constraint I would model, or want to model, that it actually means that the corresponding supporting and conclusion claim are also equivalent.
And probably vice versa. If we have two support claims whose antecedents and consequence are equivalent, then the support is equivalent.
Yeah. But it can be modeled, in other words, with the current model, and it's simply a constraint. And then the question again becomes, as we always do we want to enforce it somewhere?
The equivalence of underlying claims is equivalent to the equivalence of support opposition.
Oh, we're going to hit a very interesting case at the very end of this exercise, but go to the very top. Here, actually, I want to add.
Well, there's underlying claims and the equivalence relation itself. Assuming we're speaking about the same equivalence relation.
Right. We only have one equivalence relationship.
No, we have support on the. No, okay.
We only have one equivalence relationship.
That's true. No, what I meant is the claim relationship. This equivalence, this constraint between the equivalence of underlying claims is equivalent to the equivalence of claim support, like the claim relationship. That's assuming it's the same type of claim relationship, opposing being one type of claim relationship and supporting being one type of claim relationship.
Yeah, actually, maybe we need to address that one first.
Well, wait, we're not done. First of all, we have trouble staying on the task, which is just one, going through.
And what comes to my mind right now with equivalence is, if we have these supporting relations, then if one claim supports one claim and that claim is equivalent to another claim, then the other claim implicitly supports also that equivalent claim.
Yeah, we have that. That's the.
That's what I was trying to write here, but you're right, Felix. It is a bit broader what you're saying. I was saying they're equivalent if all the if both the antecedent and consequent are equivalent, but here you're saying only antecedent or only consequent, actually.
Like in general, like due to the equivalence, like all by this connected component in the equivalence class, like all the edges that's going there and every connections, everything applies to every individual item in there, and
Yep.
this gets messy.
So maybe we should just say claim relations apply to claim equivalence classes.
I don't know whether that's clear. Maybe we could just add a placeholder for now.
No, I would say, look, if you're using the same word, it is the same thing. If you want a new definition, a new kind of relationship, you come up with a new name for it. And you can go rename the other one or whatever. But if you use the same word, it's the same thing. It's assumed to be the exact same. A negation is a negation.
But we're missing a word for the role the claim plays in the new thing we just materialized. We're missing a word for if the supporting claim, if a supporting claim is equivalent to another supporting claim, it's assumed that the supporting claim in the supporting claim is equivalent to the other supporting claim of the other. We're missing words here. Maybe arguing we need to introduce new entities.
And what I'm saying, yeah,
Right.
basically claim equivalence class deserves a word at this point because the claim relationship are not between claims, they're between claim equivalence classes. And we're back into topic mapping.
No, but where do you get claim equivalence classes? I don't see that. I don't see that.
Because we have an equivalence relation, we also have an equivalence class.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is precisely the support, we've defined the support oppose at the claim level. And I'm saying we're seeing that we have to introduce all those ridiculous constraints about equivalence, which could all be eliminated in one fell swoop by saying that the claim relationships are not between claims, but between claim equivalence classes.
That doesn't have any meaning to a user. If you come up with a use case where that's necessary, then we can include it. But if you're just saying that to make your model look nice, it's not part of this process. So if it's something like when support is equivalent to another support, that means it affects the system that way, then you're creating a use case that requires an equivalence class that has a different behavior. But right now, we're just at high level saying, you can say two supports are equivalent because they're both claims, and you can say any two claims are equivalent. Okay. And you're not saying that we have no use cases that say what that means or what.
Okay, so I'll break this into, because I think it's we have maybe in 3 even. So the support of claim A to,
but I don't know, I think it's 1 because they really go hand in hand. Unless you want to say that one use case, unless you're saying that these use cases don't come together as one, I think they do. I mean, I see why you want to split them, but
no, it applies to all claims equivalent to B. That's not the one I wanted to split, really. The support of the claim return. Well, not applies. It's, I should say, actually, entails A supports all claims equivalent to B, and the same symmetrically with oppose to claim B.
But technically, we haven't addressed the oppose stuff yet. We're still only on support. If we follow the process of
we have actually an oppose here in this current use case.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't see you
opposing the support. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but we're only opposing support. We're not opposing.
Yeah, if you want to simplify, I accept changing the use case to a claim is created to support the support of one claim, and then we can get into oppose.
It's the same.
Versions, but,
I think we need both, but right now the point is that the use case only lists 1 being oppose.
Right.
And opposing, yeah.
As I see it, like right now, I don't know use case for it, but Tim, like, how should we do it? Like, if right now the model allows for very like it's a nightmare to what is it? To maintain the consistency of the model, like because of the equivalence of two claims.
First there's a constraint. We did this once, I think. It's like a user, like a claim is created, or what is it? A user asserts that A is the negation of B, but A is the equivalent of C and B is the equivalent of C, therefore the system rejects this attempt or something. You can do it. You do it by specific cases that are not allowed.
I'm not talking about inconsistency. I'm just talking about like what we're right now at, that there's so much inherited between the equivalent claims.
No, but it's the same type of thing. If there's something that should not be, then the model will have to be adjusted. Or you create a use case that points out that's something that should not be. There's so many things that are inherited, but so far it's not a problem because we don't have use cases one way or another that says you can't do that. But, you know,
yeah,
I think
it's more of an implementation problem at that point.
Yeah, if you get to line 21 though, we're going to see something that might throw a wrench in the support as a claim. But we haven't even gotten to number 3. We've kind of gone off the rails a bit.
Yeah, whether support can be used as support. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't allow it indeed. But
yeah.
Well,
we'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
I think this shows. I agree totally with Felix. I mean, the number of rules shows that we have the wrong model.
But let's restructure it, but let's follow the process. I think indeed once we'll get there, then we'll remodel it as part of this. I mean, I agree, but let's see whether we can follow the process and then.
Sure.
Okay, so we agreed on line 3, right? You can do an equivalence between 2.
Yes.
Yep.
Support or oppose, whatever. 4, a user asserts that a claim is the negation of another claim. So can a support be the negation?
Yes,
of
this does not
support?
That is the negation of this supports that.
Yes, I have that.
A supports B versus A does not support B, which is not the same as A opposes B, but A fails to support B, in other words.
I currently have that in my implementation.
So is that, yeah.
Next level, I decided to no longer show it in the latest version I'm working on because nobody uses it and it complicates. Then you get double negations and stuff like that. It gets really...
Well, it's important if you need to oppose the support, which was the original use case, right?
Yeah, so that's the question is claiming something is a negation of another claim. Is that even useful? I mean, let's say you have...
This is our case 19. This is exactly what our case 19 was for. We agree that was necessary.
No.
Oh, yes.
No,
Wait.
What you're saying is, like, I create a claim. Let's say I've got a claim to support the support of a claim. And then somebody else creates a claim to oppose the support of the claim. So let's put names on them. Okay.
Yeah.
A claim C is created to oppose the support of claim A for claim B, right? But the support itself is a...
No, I would have the support as C. Okay, so
claim C supports...
claim A supports claim B, and that's claim C, okay? And then...
Right. And then claim D is created to oppose that support.
To oppose C. But what it's doing in that way is implicitly creating a claims D, which is the negation of C, saying claim A does not support claim B.
I disagree.
Okay, why? What's the difference?
Because for one thing, what you're saying is any opposition to a warrant, essentially, is equivalent to any other.
No. Not at all. I'm not saying it's equivalent to the negation of the claim. I'm saying it entails the negation of the claim.
No, you're using negation
can you make that
in a totally separate way.
Okay. Let's take our
I can show the UI that I have because it does exactly that, I think, but let's see, maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, you want me to stop sharing?
I'll just send the link. Please continue. I think it's related.
You share, but I'll
you have to share, Stephen.
Yeah, done. Let's find a simple claim. I'll do the cats like humans one that always works. So we're talking about cat. So this supports that cats that are above against humans supports cats like humans. Now
Okay.
we're talking about, can we add opposing, that's this, can we add opposing claims to this relation, to this what we need a name? I think you're calling it support right now.
Yeah.
So no, cats that are up against humans does not support cats like humans because cats bound to mark their territory. So they do it for an entirely different reason than what the support relation is implying. Now, I actually don't see, before I could swap that, but basically I automatically have a negation for this. Does it not support that? But now I hide that in this latest version, unfortunately, but I think I might be able to, and use inverse is false. Let's see whether, no, okay. I don't know anymore. Either way, I can also show the negation, which simply means just like on a claim level that the supporting and opposing claim swap, this gets bound to mark the territory becomes supporting argument of the negation of that one. It's just the same as with normal claims, applying risk of substitution principle, right?
And what I was saying is, I agree with you, Tim, that cats bound to mark their territory is not equivalent to this negation that does not support, but it does entail a negation does not support.
Yes.
The does not support is the negation of the support. Cats are up against humans supports cats like human.
Let me figure this out. I'm fairly certain I can. It's simply this form. Why do I do URL rewriting?
Because there's a affordance missing for the jump.
So yeah,
is this clear what I mean here?
I don't see any purpose in the system for an argument A does not support B. I see.
Wait, okay, so are you saying that there's, let's go to cats like humans. You're saying that there's no, that the system should not support adding cats may scratch you when you pet them, opposes that cats like humans. You should always add it as
No.
Cats may scratch you when you pet them, supports that.
Tim said something different.
Okay,
yeah, I said something different. I'm saying that we should not support I like to chew gum does not support cats like humans. There's no reason to make an argument that one claim does not support another claim. It's nonsensical. It just creates.
Which basically says these are.
But you
unrelated.
can make arguments against a support.
No, you can support a support. Absolutely.
You can support a support and you can oppose a support.
Yes.
But you can't make a claim that is A does not support B.
That's this one, right? Okay, here's an example. Some cats don't like humans.
No. I think there's a misunderstanding here. Like Tim saying this, you cannot have relations in the graph that say these two things are unrelated. That's basically what he's saying. He's saying like this does not support or this does not oppose, which doesn't mean it supports or opposes. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. I still disagree, but I understand the nuance.
No, I don't think I do.
Okay. So let me try again. We have an argument that is possibly going to be modeled as a claim, which is cats rub against humans supports cats like humans. That's an argument someone makes.
That's this one. Yes. And the visualization here is a bit different, but it would indeed, that's what's entailed, yeah?
Right. I see no purpose in the model or in the system for the negation of that, which
not
is
the opposition, but the pure negation without
the pure negation, which is cats rub against humans does not support cats like humans.
I would agree there.
For it.
I would agree there. I had it before, and that's why I removed it. You can see it's no longer there. It's there in my model, but in the user interface I constrain it.
I'm gonna add a caveat here, which is like from the human perspective, I see absolutely no point in that.
I agree.
From the modeling perspective, I'm halfway convinced that there is an advantage to modeling only the support and having two different claims, one the one form and the other the negation of the other, right? And
Okay.
so you either support something or you support the negation. In that case, to make an argument against supporting, you're actually making an argument supporting its negation. So in terms of the model, I see where that makes sense. In terms of the human perspective, it makes no sense.
Okay, since I'm the one believing in the human perspective, let me caveat, explain, and qualify a bit. I agree that whenever you're making a support negation, you're saying A fails to support B, it's because you have in mind A supports B argument. So it doesn't exist in a vacuum without somebody making a supporting argument. There I'm with you. But I'm saying it's perfectly possible that you disbelieve that A supports B, even if you don't have supporting or opposing claims to buttress that refusal. And
Okay,
that way,
I understand that. I understand that. What I think what I can pinpoint and put a fine line on this is I would not accept the use case person creates the claim A does not support B.
oh, I wasn't done.
That's my whole
Yeah.
There's no place for that use case.
And then let me finish because you did cut me off. I do think that there is a use case for that. And I agree that it is in response to a supporting argument, but maybe the supporting argument is not there yet. Maybe it's even a straw man, I don't care. But what I'm saying is it's entirely possible for somebody to preemptively say, hey, I think this is true. And by the way, you can't use that argument because it's bullshit. I think that's a real human use case.
I can show what I did here. Before, the main reason why you could invert it is exactly to support this use case. So read this as cats rub up against humans supports cats like humans. You can agree or disagree with that. Right now, I agree with it. The main reason why I before actually wanted to invert this view to show cats rub up against human does not support that cats like humans is because he might want to agree with the inversion. That's why I do agree with you, Tim, that view doesn't make sense from a UX perspective, but I do agree with Mike Antoine, you still want to disagree, and that's why I added these things. If you disagree that cats rub up against humans does support cats like humans, right now you can express disagreement. That action is a separate use case, but that is still a valid action. You do want to say, no, this is bullshit. And that's what this thing does here right now. That doesn't mean that you necessarily need to visualize the claim cats rub up against humans does not support cats like humans, or that you need to visualize and store it in the system as a negation thereof. That's what I ended up doing here. So
fair enough.
Right.
I separated the two.
Yeah, and so I agree in the existence somehow the negation. It's just that one use case that I don't see, because I would see that use case coming in a different way. You're wanting to preempt and say that that argument doesn't work. Mm-hmm. But if you're just throwing it out there, you're not helping your case. I would immediately, if I were doing that sort of thing, say you can't use that argument because it's this kind of fallacy, something like that. So I would want to create the argument in the positive sense and then immediately defeat it with my reasoning. Right?
Which is the right way to do it, but I don't think I want to force people to have an argument to disagree.
Well, like
sometimes you have an argument and you don't know why, and registering it, I think, is a valid human action.
Yeah, but the human action in the UI can be completely unrelated to the data structure in the back end. And I'd rather build a UI button that says put in a fallacy, and it would put in the claim, and then it would put in an argument against it.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same lines here. I think we more or less converge on the same page. Yeah.
A bit arduous, but we did converge.
No, I think it was very productive. This is why I want to do the bottom-up approach. I see the top-down being valid, totally getting us to other arguments, and this is the kind that I've been wanting to get at, especially specifically on at the model level. So I think we're succeeding here.
Both are
useful. I would tentatively be willing to, okay, well, let's look at it from another perspective now. because you have essentially with this use case 2 existing claims, which are something supports and something else supports or negates.
Fails to support.
Yeah, so we essentially have rubbing up against cats supports cats like humans, and rubbing up against humans does not support cats like humans. So we have these 2, and somebody's going to want to say, well, these are the negation, right? Yeah, that use case only makes sense if some human went and created the negation one in the first place, which I don't want to happen.
From practice, I can tell you it doesn't happen. I mean, the only reason why you would add that is if you want to use that claim as supporting and opposing against yet another claim. And that is the second order thing that I in practice have not experienced.
And on the other hand, I don't see any reason for not allowing that if it ever comes up, right? If somehow the system's designed and somebody's only seeing a negation and somebody's only seeing the positive, and they're like, wow, these aren't connected. Yeah, go ahead and connect them.
Yeah,
okay.
I would even accept a constraint that you can only express the negation by entering the positive side as a straw man first, because the negation makes no sense without what it opposes. There, if that's the
that is a real world scenario, right? That's exactly what happens. People say, no, it doesn't. It's just like a negation of what somebody else says. You're typically not going to argue against without anyone having first introduced the original support.
And then I said it can be done preemptively. That's what a straw man argument is, or even an Iron Man argument is. It's the same, right? It's
okay. That sounds good. Let's go to the list.
Let's go on to line 5. Can we see the spreadsheet?
Sorry.
Yeah. In spite of the slow progress, I'm happy, I have to say.
Good.
With the discussion.
Better than no progress.
Yeah.
No, we did clarify things. I think that was important.
Yeah.
It might still mean we need better names for these, the new class we introduced, because it's very confusing.
Line 5 is a claim cannot be a negation of itself. That makes sense. That's the cat. Yeah, we got that. A claim is always implicitly, never explicitly equivalent to itself. That's fine.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, sorry, I forgot to.
Yeah, that's fine. A claim is created in support of another claim. So can a support be created in support of another claim? Or can a claim be created in support? Can a claim be created in support of another support? Yes, that's our use case.
There's three cases here. There's claim supports, claim, and support. It's beginning to sound like a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course the one that is a use case we all agree on, because that's what we're doing.
That's with the claim, another claim being at the top. That is a support. That's
claim supports is the.
But let's consider the one that is a bit of a elephant in the room. Can we use a support claim to support another claim? And I don't even know what that means.
Because cats rubbing up against humans supports cats like humans, therefore I'm going to get a cat.
I've never seen it in practice. I don't even know what it means semantically.
Yes.
I don't even know what it means.
No, that makes sense. Because this is true, that cats rubbing up against humans.
No, that's a conclusion.
No, because cats rubbing up against humans supports cats like humans, I'm going to allow my cat to rub against me.
Why? Okay, yeah, maybe. But then why wouldn't you just say cats like humans, so I'm going to allow my cat to rub up against me? I mean, it's...
No, that doesn't work.
That's a different argument.
Yeah, it is a different argument.
Okay. It is a good example. Maybe write it down, because it is a good example.
Yes, it is.
I'm tentatively saying yes. Yeah, right.
Interesting. The other case I had in mind is, and I'm not sure if it's argument schemes. Like here's a general form of an argument. such as modus ponens or argument of authority or whatever. And, you know, because arguments to authority is valid when the authority is well informed, then the specific case of argument to authority, which itself is a support, is valid. So you can use a general form to justify a specific form. So
I think maybe analogies is a case of that. Essentially, you're saying because you accepted this argument in support of that claim, you should accept this other argument in support of the claim. It's the same
That's interesting.
mode, it's the same inference, it's the same whatever. You know, there's the same kind of argument. You should accept my other argument.
And the inverse might be maybe be fallacies, because like when you're saying that. Like,
the analogy, the analogy doesn't hold because X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And here we have a fourth level. I'm opposing the support of support. Cute.
I can't believe I'm supporting this discussion. I'm supporting these cases.
I wrote it down again, and yes, but does this happen in real world discussion? Okay, we found an example that might work, but does this actually happen?
Oh yes.
Right. I would, you know, as a system
certainly.
designer, at this point, I would get to the point where I have to implement that and go, do I really care if this happens? And let's cut that out or something. But right now, at this point in the discussion, I'm okay.
If the model allows it, it's fine. In the UX layer, we can still disallow it, for example.
Yeah.
I introduced the notion of instance of a general argumentation scheme. I'm not sure it's the same thing as support, by the way. I think that specialization of, you know, basically variable binding is a special case, and I'm more and more thinking of variable binding as a special case. And for me, the Socrates case is not so much a deduction as a variable binding. You're saying, you know,
I think, you know, I haven't thought through this, but I feel like logic chain arguments are a special case of this, where it's like A, and because A, B, and because B, C, and because C, D, therefore E. I'm not sure if that's claim upon claim upon claim or argument.
I don't think so in this case, because it's not the argument itself that is used, it's the conclusion. The question is the premise still part of the, in some cases.
I mean, is there a chain logic where you need the whole chain, or it's enough to prove, like, because, you know, A, B, C, D, because D, E, if you just prove D, are you done?
I'll actually even play devil's advocate here to my own position. Let's go through this. Because cats rub up against humans supports that they like humans, I could just have, because cats rub up against humans and because cats like me, I will allow my cat to rub against me. Is the support really part of the reasoning here? In this case, maybe, probably. But in some cases, maybe not. What I'm saying is there can be cases where you would reuse the premise, or you could do it with a multi-premise claim and say both the premise and the conclusion of the first one are necessary to the second conclusion without the link between them being part. Now, in this case, I suspect the link between them is part. But you see the nuance I'm making?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I would rephrase that argument, so I don't know if it would survive, because it would be more like, cats rub, you know, it would be, I would rephrase it as cats rub against humans to show they like them.
Exactly, which is a different claim.
Therefore,
it's a more causal claim.
Yes.
So actually, actually, what we're saying is that this is only partially correct. A much better argument, a much more real world argument that people make is exactly the one you just said, not this one.
Yeah, except that, you know, there's the analogy case we talked about.
The analogy case,
because you accepted
this
argument, you should accept that argument, essentially.
I think the analogy, thank you, Felix, because the analogy is extremely important to this.
Okay, can someone write the analogy one up as an example as well here, just for future reference? It might be a better example than in the, I'll move away. I don't know whether. But so for now, I'm thinking to allow it in the model, and then we'll consider future eliminations if other use cases demand it, or what's
I think so.
Yeah. If it passes all these tests, then that design is fine.
Yeah.
And then we can revise it with other use cases. A claim is created to oppose another claim is the opposite. Yeah, that if we accepted the previous 7, then we should accept 8, I think. It's the Felix's one with fallacies, more or less.
Yeah, but this does beg the question whether or not the current name we gave in the model that thing is correct, which is now like support. I think that means we should probably model it as something different. I think the data model doesn't support it.
Like I would be happy already,
share.
Having only a support.
Sorry, I'm right now. I'm writing. I'm not listening.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. What your claim is created to oppose another claim? Yes.
Exactly. I think that requires a change of the model or a rename of something in the model at least.
Oh, you want me to do the? No, you're.
Wait, why do we need the change?
Well, if we can see it, it might become clear. I might be wrong, but
it's because we have support and oppose. Oh, because the class is called support.
Exactly.
Yeah, we could call it argument.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand what's going on. A claim is created to oppose another claim. I think it makes sense to say that a claim can oppose, a support can oppose a claim can oppose a support can oppose a support. As in, this is support.
Yeah, this is where I'd call it argument.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, and then you say its relationship is support or oppose or something like that.
And then we go back to our very old discussion of a micro argument. So it's actually micro argument if you think back of what that was.
Well, let's keep the model simple. We accepted support as a name.
Yes.
Let's just
yes.
You want me to rename support as argument here? First, we're dropping this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we rename support to arguments, that also means that somehow you need to add whether or not you need to add the relation within that argument clause. Then it becomes a relation which is either supporting or opposing, and then you have a premise and a conclusion probably, or a source and a target, whatever you want to call it.
At this point in the model, I mean, this is where I'm inclined to start thinking about it as terms of only having supports, and then talking about you support the negation or something. But I guess we don't have use cases. I don't know. I'll have to think through that.
Yeah, but
go ahead and put the flag in there for now. And
that means it's a data model and not a domain model, though. I mean, if we consider this a data model, then I might agree. If we consider this a domain model, I disagree.
No, we can have a domain model that has only supporting relationships.
Okay,
and the domain model says that you only support, and when a user wants to oppose, what they should do is support the negation if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, you got to create the negation,
but
relationship.
That's not equivalent, right? Isn't it?
It's equivalent.
We need to think about
it. Is supporting the negation the same as opposing?
It's equivalent. We haven't defined what negation relationship means, and we haven't defined what equivalent relationships mean. So we need more use cases that say, if you support a claim, you are automatically supporting all its equivalents. And if you are supporting a negation, you are automatically supporting any other.
Well, you wouldn't need to say it because
no, it'd be because there's the equivalence of a negation. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So you would only support.
I also think it's equivalent now.
I think so too. I think so too. I think supporting a negation is the same as opposing.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Excellent. So we can remove a position. Yay.
But then we need to specify more use cases.
We need to add negation. Basically,
we have the negation relation.
We have negation.
We have negation. Yes, that's true.
But then argument can become support again, right? If you remove opposing, because then you only model support.
The question is like, how do you? The question here is how do you? We have use cases that says a claim opposes another claim. And our implementation here in the model is it's actually supporting the negation of that claim. So there's a lot unsaid here in the model.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which might hint at what I've been wanting to do for ages, is grouping the negation and the normal thing in one new class.
But it's the same sort of problem. Your solution has the same problem this solution has, which, what happens when you want
Then we
to
need
create
Sorry.
a negation? No, what happens when you want to oppose and there is no negation? You have to create
The negation is
inside.
always, the negation always exists. Like what that model says is that a negation and, well, a claim and negation
then we
always
need
go hand in
somewhere.
hand.
Yeah, we need
Every
somewhere
claim has a
low
negation.
level. Yeah, that's not a use case. There's no use case.
No,
really.
but
Or
that's
it could
what.
be a use case there.
It's an alternative model.
implies.
It's a valid. Yeah. It's valid to have alternative models. We said that.
Correct.
So not this.
We don't have to do it now, but it's relevant. That's why I brought
Oh,
it up.
we even started it. I'm trying to find it. 1 second.
I have a hard stop in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
let's not open
in
it.
3 minutes. Yeah, can you design this?
No,
offline
I thought I had it, but
Okay.
let's
just try to get through in the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
This one use case.
Yeah.
By comparing our modified model now to the remaining stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of have to start over.
Completed
I
claims. 11 is the last one we need to look at, I think.
It was just.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Sorry, it was there. I just didn't have it.
Let's look at it next week.
Let me start over real quick because we changed the model. The claim is created in the system with a sentence. Yes. A user asserts that two claims are equivalent in meaning. Okay. A user asserts that the claim is the negation of another claim. Okay. A claim cannot be a negation of itself. Okay. A claim is always equivalent to itself. Okay. A claim is created to oppose the support of one claim for another claim. We change that to in the model, the claim is created to support the negation of the support, which means now is when this is the case where I was okay with having a negation of the support, is because you need it for this case here. Yes. The support of one claim for another claim. I think we're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
The claim is created.
I don't think we need to change the use case, right? We're just saying
leave it. Yeah.
It's just the implementation.
Mm-hmm. A claim is created to oppose another claim. Okay, we just know it's supporting the negation. Okay, number 11. This is the final one. We got a minute. Claims equivalent to a claim. So you have an equivalence, some claims in an equivalence group, which is the negation of a second claim are also the negation of that. I'm okay with that.
It's the same.
Yep.
Essentially, the negations are grouped and the equivalents are grouped, and they're negations. Yes, I understand that. That is correct. In my understanding. Yes. Everyone agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. 21 is where I thought we might run into trouble. A pre-existing claim is used to support another claim. So
we resolved that.
We resolved that in our other discussion,
yes.
Which is that because cats rub shows they like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm suddenly okay with that. We hit our deadline. I got another meeting.
We agree this is completed?
Something, yeah. Yes. I think so. Can you move all the completed to up with the other completeds? Thanks. I gotta go, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good until Friday.
Bye, Tim.
Bye.
So, as I have it in my mind right now, it makes sense to introduce the equivalence class as an instance for claims. And maybe, I'm not sure yet, maybe even have the negation relation between the equivalence classes. And then it gets very similar to what Stephen is suggesting, actually.
It gets close.
But we just need to add a use case to get there then, right? And I think there's a couple of them already in the proposed list, but I think it makes sense to do it at this point as well.
Yeah, we'll talk. I think we'll talk about it next time. My issue is how do you argue about whether a claim is a proper negation of another, and how
it's
do you
also it's also on a proposed list already. There's a couple of them that state exactly
and how do you even argue about whether this is a proper equivalence, right?
Yes, and I think that's a different bounded context, but that's definitely a discussion we have to go into.
Or these two edges are also just claims, and then problem solved.
Well, yeah, they're claims, but I'm saying the interaction between those claims and the modeling of claims as a set of sentence and set of negation becomes hairy. That's the whole point. That's why I wanted to have the equivalence relation as a claim so it can be discussed. And putting it in a bounded context, I'm not sure it solves the problem, but because I think it's easier to put this at the root than as a level above. And that's really the question between me and Steven all the time.
I also don't think that's another bounded context, because like it is a bounded context when people are attacking it with curation and said, okay, this needs to be changed.
That's what's happening. That's my point. That is what is happening. Like one use case is, I wrote them down specifically at some point. One use case is, hey, I disagree with this current model where this is modeled as a negation of that one. Another use case is saying this is a negation of that one. There are two separate use cases in my opinion. One assumes a collaborative system. The other assumes like a consistent model that's curated by a single entity.
I think it can go hand in hand. Like you can oppose it with an argument without changing it, and someone else changes it and removes your argument, and then it's.
But what does it mean to? That's why I said, what does it mean to change it? What is the resulting action once that claim that something is not a negation? How do you resolve that, or does it just stay in limbo together in the same model? That's my concern.
Yeah, and it's always the big question. Do we base the single tenant application on the multi-tenant model or the other way around?
Yes.
And for me, multi-tenant is fundamental.
It doesn't rule out the possibility to have also a single
tenant. But that's what we're arguing about. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right about this, but that's what we're arguing about.
Okay, so it sounds like we have two interesting discussions. Like one is the equivalence clause, and then the other one is indeed the...
Are we basing
to label? Yeah. Sorry?
Multi-tenant on single tenant or the other way around?
Or more like, how do you disagree with modeled negations or modeled anything? How do you disagree with modeled anything? Because it applies to all the use cases we already have.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Really good session. This was cool.
Absolutely. That's one we can actually post somewhere and refer to.
I'm not even sure I would understand it on a rewatch, but I mean, feel free to post it. I'm just saying that there's very few people in the world though.
Yeah, and you need the context in the background.
To find these people.
That is so physics. I agree.
Okay, I'll think about that. See if I can think of a way.
There's more.
I also don't think other people would appreciate this. To be honest, they don't have the context. They haven't shared so many meetings with us already. They're not gonna understand anything.
It might be interesting to do a summary of our discussion and explain it.
Yes,
I approve. That's a good suggestion.
So whoever wants to either do that or pay me to do it.
I think we can just like as a group take 1 hour and explain the current thing as for the purpose of publishing.
Yeah, but let's do that after we're later in the process. Like once.
Yes, agreed. No, I just want to say it takes less time than one person sitting down and trying to do it alone. It only takes us 1 hour if we explain it together in 1 hour.
Unless we argue, but yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting.
On Friday.
Thanks so much.
Yes, see you on Friday.
See you Friday.